Hello and welcome to the Scientology Money Project with your host, Jeffrey Augustine. I have some news I want to catch you up on. Let's get the music down and welcome. I did this kind of last minute. Got some interesting stuff, but I want to get this on. Hello, Denise. Hello, Wayne. Glad to see you here. Thanks for coming. We're going to talk about David Gentile, Scientologist and convicted felon, 5 U.S. felonies. We're going to talk about why he is terrified of the numbers 43 and 97. This is not numerology. This is real stuff. But today, before I begin, hey, I did a live. I was driving home on Fountain. I was westbound on Fountain by L. Ron Hubbard Way, and I saw like 12 LAPD cars. They're the most I'd ever seen. And so I raced home and I went back to try to do a live, but it was breaking up. Whatever was going on there, it was interesting. They had some tactical vehicles from LAPD. They had what looked like a paddy wagon and a gate. It didn't have antennas on it, so it wasn't a radio truck. And hi, Carol. Welcome. Hello, 151,000. Glad to see you here. So yeah, it was a strange thing. I'm trying to figure out what went on, and I want to share a screenshot I took from my car. I had to go home and come back. I wasn't able to get out at that time because I just couldn't. But let me show you the picture. And okay, this was from my car at about 1:30. I believe it was about 1:30. This is L. Ron Hubbard Way. You can see an LAPD cruiser right next to my car in the foreground. And then you can see at least 3. There's 4, actually. The tree's blocking one, but in the background. So they were lined up. They had been there a while. I estimate there were 12 black and whites, probably 4 undercover cars. And the LA Department of Transportation was blocking it off, but you can see in back the light bars. So I don't know what went on today, Friday, February 7th, but it's something I intend to look into. But this is why like I said, I couldn't pull over. I had to get home for a reason. High fat Grammy, everyone's favorite suspect. She's suspect. We think she's working for the Marcabs. So that was just interesting to see. Now, my last podcast, I talked about how David Gentile, he's been convicted, so his sentencing draws near. It draweth nigh, if we're to use the language of the Bible, on March 13, 2025, Eastern District, there in Brooklyn, federal court. So there's been a blizzard of paperwork. My sources tell me that David Gentile and his criminal co-defendant, now, well, not a defendant anymore, he's convicted, Jeffrey Schneider, have spent $150 million in legal fees over the several years with civil and criminal. And it'd be nice if they were arresting Miscavige, but we aren't likely to be that lucky. Yes, it would be nice if they were arresting the ecclesiastical leader. And I'm glad you're there on time. That counts. That goes in your record as a gold star for attendance. So today I got some more documents I downloaded. I went through. David Gentile has 75 letters in support, one written by Scientologist Ethan Suplee and his wife Brandy Lewis, who is the sister of Juliette Lewis. We went through that. And so David Gentile, we're going to just start and give you some facts. And this is kind of an interesting criminal justice thing. So let me get my PDFs up. And we want to go to Exhibit H. Here, again, this is like sort of like, let's just go through how I look at stuff. And I'm sure a lot of you who are familiar with this, like Fat Grammy and others, will know, but some newer people may not. And so I always like to show. Okay, so when you're looking at legal documents, you can create an account on Pacer, Pacer, pacer.gov, and you can get these documents. They're public documents, so they'll always have a caption at top, the case number. There on the left, document number. That's important. Now we're looking at document 530/2. That means in the criminal case over the years, there's been 530 documents filed. Now, a lot of those documents have attachments and exhibits. So it goes into thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of pages. And the money I spend on Pacer is well worth it. You have to pay for these things. But if you want to do content like this, it's very well worth it. And so Exhibit H. By the way, like I like to say, everyone is a suspect. No one leaves the train. So that's David Gentile's law firm, Cobra and Kim, 800 3rd Avenue. Boy, you guys got paid a lot of money to get a guilty verdict. They don't give refunds, of course, because nothing's guaranteed in court. We at Cobra and Kim can guarantee no particular results when we defend you, even for a lot of money. We'll make all best efforts, but a jury, gosh darn it, that jury can go either way. So this is to probation officer Nicole Gervais and Mr. Gentile's attorneys are objecting to everything that the probation department did. There is when you get convicted, what they're going to do is the probation department will prepare a pre-sentence investigation report. So in this, they're going to look at your crimes and they're going to look at enhancements to your crime. Should we add years or months? They do it months in the federal system. Should we add months or should we deduct months? So they go up and down, enhancements or deductions. And so that's the job that they give to the judge. And of course, the defendants, the criminal defense, will try to argue down, argue up. So sentencing, if a crime carries 20 years, it may not mean that you'll do 20. You could do 10. Alternately, you could do 30 years because the judge ultimately decides because there's a range. And so this goes back and forth. And obviously, the defendant, David Gentile, and Jeffrey Schneider want to spend as little time in prison as possible. And the prosecution, the government wants them to spend a whole lot of time in prison for their $1.8 billion Ponzi scheme. By the way, just as a point of reference, the late Bernie Madoff, $4 billion Ponzi scheme, he was sentenced to 150 years in prison. That's what he got. And so Gentile and Schneider did about half that at 1.8. So you could ballpark that to say, are they going to get 75 years? They could get up to 85 years. Basically, the sentencing recommendation is life, right? Well, we'll get into that because there's what the judge decides, what the pre-sentencing report or their probation people say in their pre-sentence investigation report, otherwise known as PSR. So we'll answer your question, Pufflepogus. So that's an interesting name, an interesting logo with that hound, that beast. So hi, Patrick. Hello, Style Audit. So you have to wait to find out because I don't want to get ahead of everything. But you're headed in the right direction, I think. So let's get back to. So basically, this letter is a litany of complaint from David Gentile. I think he wrote it. I think he's like David Miscavige, that he's screaming at his attorneys and dictating to them. I could be wrong. Like Sharpie, I reserve the right to be wrong. And, any comments or corrections, errata, please contact me. So they want Mr. Gentile respectfully requests that probation withdraw its sentencing recommendation made on December 30, 2024. That recommendation was made before Mr. Gentile had any opportunity to comment on or highlight factual or legal errors in the PSR. Sorry, David Gentile, you don't get to do that. This is so funny. He wants them to withdraw their sentencing recommendation. This is just a gambit to buy time. And the pre-sentence investigation report, the probation people get to do whatever they want. They don't have to they don't have to run the probation department doesn't have to run it by David Gentile, the convicted criminal defendant, and say, do you approve of this, Mr. Gentile? We'll send you the draft. Can you make any corrections? That's not how it works. Now, the lawyers will write a lot of stuff because they can. That's what they get paid for. But the probation people, Gentile doesn't get input. He can respond to it through his attorneys, but he doesn't. They're not going to consult him as they're writing it. So this shows the desperation of Gentile. He's already asked to vacate the jury. He basically asked for the court to toss the case, dismiss the charges against him. He wants a new trial. He wants to be acquitted. And his lawyers have to do all this, one, because he's paying them a lot of money, but they could get hit with malpractice if they don't try every possible thing. So why not ask for everything and hope you get something? Hi, Susan. Good to see you here. And so this is, to me, it's funny because I read a lot of legal stuff. It's like, yeah, of course you'd like, what David Gentile and Jeffrey Schneider want is they want this to like go on for 5 years, like the lead up to their trial. Not going to happen. Now we're in the speedy part of justice. They fucked around a long time, and now it all got real. And I'm going to post this on my blog, of course. It's a 25-page. We're not going to go through it. So some of it's redacted and blah, 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 blah. So basically, he's objecting to everything, and he's going through paragraph by paragraph of the pre-sentencing report, and he's saying why everybody got it wrong. So what David Gentile is attempting to do, and what everyone attempts to do, is relitigate their case. So as I said, David Gentile and Jeffrey Schneider had a 7-week case, and the jury only took 4 hours to find them both guilty on all charges. So they want to relitigate it. I'm only a little late. Okay, that's fine. That Grammy was on time. So being a little late is better than being a lot late. And yes, there you go. Say hi to everyone. So everybody, criminals with money and lawyers, they want to relitigate everything. And the court just mentally cancels that out because you don't get to relitigate. And that's what this reads as. And also you're wanting to set things up for appeal. So there's all kinds of things that go on. Why you object to everything. And this is a pretty extensive. They're objecting to everything. And they're going to try to set stuff up for appeal. So there's a lot that goes into this. Plus, the law firm makes a lot of money. So why not? A lot of this is trivial. And the fact that so many broker dealers have been fined by FINRA. So you can see that you can just go through this, and a lot of it's just, stuff that should have been introduced. They're arguing what went on at trial, and this is really, and this can't even be introduced at appeal. A lot of it, it's because it's not germane to their convictions. So let's get to the magical number. Let's get to the magical numbers of 43 and 97. Okay, so we're going to jump down. Given the above adjustments to Mr. Gentile's offense level computation, Mr. Gentile respectfully objects to the total offense level of 43. Okay, hold that there. We have a total offense level of 43. What does that mean? What does a total offense level of 43 mean? Well, let's look at the U.S. federal sentencing guidelines. This is part of the wonderfulness of the internet. Is the government gives you this wonderful stuff. So we're going to, what screen are we stopping? Stop screen. Okay. So we're gonna show you some US government stuff where this gets to be hardball, and you should know about it. Now, this is the United States Sentencing Commission. It's a real thing. And they put out a manual called the Guidelines Manual Annotated. And these are sentencing guidelines. And you can read the manual, download it as a PDF. This is so fascinating. And there's updates to it for opioids, fentanyl, proposed amendments. So it gets updated every year. But this is an absolutely amazing site. So we're going to jump right into. So if you want to look at that, you're going to jump into the next screen. We're going to share this tab instead. Okay, now this is determining the sentence, Chapter 5 of the U.S. Sentencing Commission guidelines. This is how people get sentenced. So 43 was the number that David Gentile was assigned. So this is the sentencing table. This is where the rubber meets the road in criminal defense and sentencing. This is why the number 43 strikes terror into the heart of David Gentile and Jeffrey Schneider. And it should. So the sentencing table begins at offense level 1. If you look in the upper left-hand corner, we have an offense level of 1, which would carry 0 to 6 months in prison. So you can see that there's a criminal history category, criminal history points. But basically, when you commit crimes in the United States of America, federal crimes, you're going to get assigned points. And the points are going to be enhanced or deducted depending on a number of factors. And that's what the probation department decides in issuing a recommendation of a point value. And then the prosecutors can ask for a particular sentence, but the judge will look at all these different inputs from the defense and probation, and also the points. So we have an offense level of 1, which would get you to 0 to 6 months in prison. And in Zone A, if you, let's say, you get into Zone B because you had an enhancement, you can get 8 to 14 months. And if you go over to the left-hand column, those are the big numbers. When your offense level climbs and there's criminal history, there's enhancements. For example, if you use a gun in a crime, that can add 10 years if you're a felon with a gun. So there's all kinds of things. So the numbers keep going, and they go up to 26, 27, and you get into Zone D, you can start seeing the sentences get pretty darn long. And now at the very bottom, the highest you can get in the United States is 43. And the way this works is you can actually get more points. You could get 85 points. But for the purposes of U.S. law and the way the law is written, anything above 43 is just reduced to 43 because that's life in prison. Life in prison. You can get 360 months to life. And as we saw yesterday, David Gentile's total months they calculated was 1,020 months, or 85 years. So he's been assigned a number of 43. And that's why he's not real happy about that. That's why in the what we were looking at, we're going to remove that for a minute, stop screen. We're going to go over. So he has the maximum you can get. That's why he's scared of the number 43. And that's why he's saying, given the above adjustments to Mr. Gentile's offense level computation, Mr. Gentile respectfully objects to the total offense level of 43. Yeah, because he's fucked. That's a legal term of art. Did you ever find out what all those police were doing today? No, I got home, I ran back down, and they were breaking up, and 4 of them left with lights and sirens. So I don't know. Someone suggested they may have been staging, but I don't think they were staging. I don't know what they were doing. It's a mystery to me. That's why I put it out there to see what all the police were doing. So anyway, Mr. Gentile's, when you get a 43, That's bad. That is really, really bad. So because like we go back to the share screen. So when we go back to the sentencing guidelines, we saw that 43 is the highest you can get. So that's his problem as a criminal, is in the sentencing table in the U.S. He won the jackpot. He conquered all the bosses, went through all the levels to 43, which means he's going to be life in prison. And the report we shared yesterday was 1,020 months. Now that is on a par with murder. His the document we shared yesterday, his attorneys objected to the fact he's sentenced on the same degree as premeditated murder. Yeah, well, he's got 17,000 victims. So yeah, you're pretty much screwed if you're looking at his final form 43. Yeah, what do you do? What do you do when you got 43? There's not like, well, that's a not bigger of a number than Grant Cardone's 10x. Maybe Grant Cardone one day will 43x it. We'll do a 43x. If he ever gets charged, maybe it'll be a 43. It could be Grant. Just as a matter of study, hypothetically, I'm not saying you did anything wrong, but you should look at what David Gentile did, because it sort of resembles, it's Cardone-like. But I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong. It's just that you should look at, yeah, he's screwed. So 43, and I want to take you through, I want to go back through it to show you some stuff. Is this the thing I want? Where is it at? The Guidelines Manual 23. This is chapter 5. And we're going to go. So hold on. I want to just show you something. There's even a judiciary sentencing information tutorial video. Oh, this is an interesting thing. We can go off topic. I'm going to show you how methodical the government is. Let me take you off topic just for a moment, because this is interesting. This is how, if you're an American citizen, your government at work. Now, what I found interesting in digging through this, and I like to, okay, so this is actually a drug conversion calculator. And this is what prosecutors would use. So select substance. Okay, let's see what substance. Wow. So what are you selling? Huh. Okay, let's say you're selling fentanyl. Okay, so you put in fentanyl, and let's say you're just selling 1 pound of it, 1 pound inner weight. I guess, yeah. Unit of measurement, we're going to put, actually, we're going to put in, and let's put in instead 25 kilograms. Let's say you're big time, bringing in 25 kilos. And that's your only substance. So you just submit, and then it will calculate the results. And that's how the government has this great calculator. Converted drug weight, offense level 36. So actually, if you were selling 25 keys of fentanyl, you would be number 36. Now, what does David Gentile have? He's at a 43. So in terms of the crime, David Gentile is viewed on the same thing as a premeditated murder, because it's an economic crime of violence against many people who were senior citizens. So yeah, you get your offense level of 36 for selling a bunch of fentanyl, but 43 for doing what David Gentile did, because he destroyed a lot of people's lives. He really did. And at his sentencing, there's going to be victim impact statements from a lot of people, including the estates of people who have passed away, and their families will talk about how their lives after 65 were hell because David Gentile and Jeffrey Schneider stole all their money, and why they should be thrown away forever into jail. Lock them up and throw away the key. So it's interesting that they have these calculators, and then they have all kinds of other sentencing formulas, enhancements. David Gentile has a lot of enhancements. His main argument that he repeats over and over is that, well, all the investors were accredited investors in this, so they know they should have known better, and that's not going to hold up. You're already convicted. Doesn't wash. Did Grant Cardone really not get charged with anything yet? He really did not get charged with anything yet. His brother Gary Cardone is in a civil RICO case with his ex-wife Monica Eaton over chargebacks 911. Oh, the victim statements will be brutal, just brutal. They're going to be brutal. And yeah, he was probably hoping for 42 if he was a Douglas Adams fan. Yeah, that could get him 360 months instead of 1,020 months. So, wow, that just is a little bit freaky. An interesting point in the Exhibit H, it said that David Gentile is working as an at-will consultant for fellow Scientologist Matt Judkin, president of Energy BPO Corp. David Gentile used Matt Judkin as his attempt several years ago to take back control of the company from the monitor, Mr. Gardermal. So Matt Judkin, you'll see a name over here where my mouse is, Adolfo Quintero. Those two guys, they were hooked up in a scheme. They got in trouble in Texas. Let me go, Adolfo. I'll show this to you. Adolfo, since we're here and we're just looking at things, let me see if I have this signed. Oh gosh. Okay, so I will start. Let me share the screen instead. So that's Matt Judkin, and he and you see Adolfo Quintero, they did this stuff down in Texas, and I'm just going to show you this. Just bear with me. Okay, so I did a post when Judkin and Quintero were in trouble down in Texas. This was in 2022 when David Gentile tried to take back control of the company. He attempted a coup because the monitor had sold the automotive portfolio, and there was about $1 billion in cash. David Gentile had not been convicted. So he tried to take over with new managers. He tried to expand the board with a letter. So he picked Matt Judkin, along with his fellow Scientologists, Adolfo Quintero, John Woodruff, and Herb Zerden. Now, these guys, they had to sign a thing in Texas. And so they were running a foreclosure assistance scam in Texas. So Matt Judkin, Quintero, Herb Zerden, these are David Gentile associates, Scientologists. They had to sign a thing in the state of Texas. They had to agree to a permanent injunction to stop doing these mortgage, these scammy, mortgage, will save your house type of things. And so it's not like these guys are, see, this again is Scientology. There's this culture of criminality. And they were going under all these names, Rail Limited, Mayan Enterprise, LLC. So once you go down Scientology rabbit holes, so right now, though, Matt Judkin is David Gentile's working for him, even though Judkin had to sign a permanent injunction in Texas. So once you start putting together all the names and people, you can see what's going on. So David Gentile, let's get back to him, Mr. 43, our guy, Mr. 43. And I want to go back here. Okay, so anyway, you saw the sentencing table. And We'll just look at it again. So there it is. If you want to, if you get into studying criminals and criminality, you always want to see what the offense level is. That's going to tell you how much time they're going to do. So Mr. 43, David Gentile. Now he's also afraid of the number 97. Why is he afraid of 97? Well, I'll tell you why. He doesn't like the number 97. So he doesn't like, we saw that he does not like the offense level of 43. I object to being offense level 43. No kidding. Wow. And we're going to go back to this document. Okay, so he's complaining about this. Now let me get my notes. Okay, so we have to go to page 24. So you can see that he's objecting to everything. I object to everything. I object to everything. Oh, yes, here it is. You can see paragraph 91. A statement request for employment was verification was sent to Energy BPO. That's Matt Judkins' company. This should be removed from the pre-sentencing, as Mr. Gentile understands that the company has since responded to this request for employment verification and has verified the nature of Mr. Gentile's employment as an at-will consultant. So Mr. Gentile has a job. He works for Matt Judkins. We saw at Matt Judkins' company. So he's objecting. This is really minutia. He's objecting to, he's wanting dates put in. So you can see he went through this with a fine-tooth comb. He probably put the document on the e-meter and checked it for its crimes. And he can't file his taxes. He had a state tax warrant. Oh, here's an interesting thing. The pre-sentencing report incorrectly states that Mr. Gentile is ineligible for probation. Yes, generally, if you get a life sentence, that means you're ineligible for probation. So they're arguing over Class A, Class B felonies. See, this is where David Gentile could use his word clearing skills, actually his lawyers. So he's arguing every single point, but the one I'm going up to, the magical number of 97. So the probation department, the prosecutors, they said that the total loss for purposes of restitution is $97 million. So the reason David Gentile is afraid of the number 97 is they're going to hit him with an order. The court appears likely, based on the recommendation, to order him to pay his victims $97 million in restitution. $97 million. And he's trying to argue that there's no way in hell that anything in court records supports a finding of that much loss. Can you imagine? He is going to get hit with a $97 million restitution order. Now, that's when there will be a federal forfeiture order. So they'll take his house in Manhasset on Long Island. They'll take his cufflinks. They'll take everything. $97 million. You can't bankrupt out of that. So he's going to get hit with a $97 million. That's part of the sentencing, is the magnitude of the victims, the magnitude of the crime, that size, 1.8 billion. So he is terrified of the 97 million. He spends a lot of time in this document, mainly trying to say the number. He does a lot of CPA tricks, because David Gentile began life as a CPA at his father's firm, Gentile, Pismini, and Brengel. Those were his father's business partners. And he began as a CPA, and then in 2012, he branched out into GPB Capital, Gentile, Pismini, Brengel. So he then invested with Kyle Brengel, and there's a long story on the origin that I won't get into. So 97 million, that's why he's afraid of the number 43, Mr. 43. That's the top offense level in America you can get. He's hit with that. He's afraid of the $97 million. He's already going to be bankrupted. He's going to be the Prosecutors are asking for 20 years, as I understand it, and the judge can sentence up to all 85 years, all 1,020 months, because that's what it is. So that's pretty mind-blowing. So $97 million. So imagine you get put away for 85 years or 20. When you're 58, a 20-year sentence, that's pretty much the rest of your life, assuming you make it. And then you get hit with $97 million restitution. And one of my sources explained that he and Schneider could be on the hook to pay back that $150 million in legal fees once they're convicted. So they're going to get slammed in court, and there's not going to be a lot left. Let's go back to this document. So the document, like you see, it's 24 pages in length. So basically, it's just arguing formulas and minutia. And there's even a line in there that said the probation department put in basketball, and they're saying it should be baseball. So you can see he's gone through this. He's spent a lot of time at home going through this. But again, you can't relitigate it. What we looked at yesterday. The one thing I wanted to say is yesterday we looked at the list of people who, what document is this? Exhibit A. No, that's filed ex parte. Okay, so this is showing that the distributor who took over, they put GPB Capital into receivership, and they're getting ready to distribute the first $400 million to the victims. So when you look at the anatomy of financial crime, there's a lot of moving parts. And Mr. Gardamal is saying there's 17,000 investors. So the number I've seen 15,000 plus, but I'm using Mr. Gardamal as the receiver who is the monitor at 17,000. And he basically mentions the investigations led to criminal charges and convictions of Jeffrey Schneider, Jeffrey Lash, and David Gentile. So anyway, this is a complex crime. It's a big crime. I have mapped, I'm going to tell you something. In following this particular crime for 5 years, I have mapped 48 different Scientologists who are involved in one way or another with GPB Capital, including many former Sea Org members. Now, yesterday we talked about the 75 letters of support written on David Gentile's behalf. What I want to talk about today are the people who did not write letters of support to reduce his sentence. That includes Scientologist Manuel Viana. And that includes former Sea Org member Brian Marshall. They both worked for GPB Capital. Highline Management, Mike Frost. This is a little inside baseball, but what David Gentile did when he got in trouble, they created a management company called Highline Management. That when David Gentile stepped down as CEO, when he was arrested and indicted, they created a management company. And please understand, there's 15,000 investors, so I get a lot of people who watch my videos and read my blog who are GPB Capital investors. They're not interested in Scientology per se, other than to note that this is the criminal culture, which I allege Scientology knew all about what David Gentile was doing. And as long as they got their VIG, their donations, and it was millions of dollars, and it was to Youth for Human Rights, Citizens Commission, Human Rights, and I hope that all gets caught back. And one of the other, anyway, so a lot of what I do is for the GPB Capital investors, but they've been educated about Scientology. So anyway, so there's a lot of moving parts in a complex financial crime, but I do have 48 Scientologists mapped. Now, some of those appear to be associated with Trish Duggan, because she's apparently operating somewhat as a private venture capitalist within Scientology, and she's funding Scientology companies. And that's something I'm looking into. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can act as your own private VC. In fact, a lot of people here in LA after the ruinous fires are turning into hard money lenders at 10%. So this gets pretty interesting. So one thing I want to show you, and this is really important, and this is where Grant Cardone comes in. I'm going to show you this document, and I'm going to give you some instructions. Okay. Are you ready? Okay, this is one thing you always want to get. One thing you always want to get when you are, if you're investigating Grant Cardone, what you want to do, and what was so damaging to David Gentile at trial, these are marketing materials. And can you see this? Can you put one if you can see this, if you can read it, please? Just put a 1 in the comment if you can read it. Are you able to see this okay? It's very light. Huh, not getting any feedback. I wonder if my, okay, just put a 1. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Fat Grammy. Okay. Yeah, I want to make sure you can read this. Okay, now, this is really important. Thank you. Please, when you're dealing with Grant Cardone or any Scientologist offering private equities, collect all the marketing materials and archive them. Because any representation made in writing, this was crucial in David Gentile's criminal trial. The marketing materials, the representations made, I would say a good project, a good open source intelligence project for the community is to go out and harvest every single marketing document that Grant Cardone has put out for all of his 26 or 27 funds. These things became big evidence in court. They showed intent to defraud and deceive. So this letter here, this marketing, you can see when the FBI raided GPB Capital headquarters, they got these files. So you can see it's laid out on top with merge format. That's telling it to drop into a mailing list. Now it's talking about an amended and restated confidential private placement memorandum. This is the kind of stuff you save. If you get it from Grant Cardone, Gary Cardone may do something with his Bitcoin. So this stuff was very damning. Was very, very damning. So these are this kind of specifics. This is the evidence you need. You save private placement memorandums, anything confidential, and this became a defense exhibit. But it didn't go well for them. This, they tried to argue that the investors were informed, but I'm just showing how this stuff winds up at a criminal trial. It can wind up as civil evidence. Here they say, if you fail to respond to this letter within 30 days, you will have been deemed to accept the terms of the new private placement memorandum. Basically, this document was an attempt by them to say that we can change the terms of things. Gentile's tried to argue that he had the right to take investor capital and pay it back to investors. That's a Ponzi scheme. He's trying to say it was legal, that his fraud, his crime was legal. Now you can see that it's hyperlink. But if you got a copy of this, this is the kind of stuff you want to save. This is just pure gold. So that actual document became part of evidence. Now, it can become evidence for either side, but this is a pretty amazing document. Now, there's another document I wanted to show you, and this is how the government works and why it takes time. I want to show you the next document, which is document 524.5, which you're looking at. This is another document. This is why you save and archive everything from Scientology. You save screenshots, emails, you save everything. And an operational due diligence report. So you can see the government did a terrific job in compiling this, but a lot of investors were keeping files of this. And this lists, there's Manuel Viana, OT8, Harvard MBA. He did not write a letter on David Gentile's behalf and ingrate. He worked for David Gentile, but Manuel Viana, where are you? Oh, I know exactly where you're at. From social media. And so you can do a lot of things. You can collect Scientology data. That's why I compiled all their contracts, their representations, and it's been used by law firms and things. And this gives some like history that can become damning. So the devil is always in the details. It's always in the details. This next document, this is pure gold. If you can get a confidential supplement sent only to investors, and I have a couple, I have one on GPB Capital that's really damning, and I got it through a fluke, and I'll show it to you. This confidential supplement, this, again, this will give you all the details. So I'm just kind of showing you what it looks like. It'll give you, this was the government used this in their exhibit. So when you see the evidence tags, you never know. And that's like saying this to Grant Cardone, a couple other people operating out of Nashville. When you get into private equity, you never know what might wind up as a government exhibit in a federal criminal case against you. And so these documents are really important. And I'm just scrolling through it. You don't have to read it. I can maybe post some of the government stuff. But this is all, again, all public. And I urge you, if you want to be a really good investigator, get a pacer.gov account and learn how to use it. Maybe I'll do a class one day on how easy it is to use. And so these details went to the nature of the fraud. I'm going to show you some other documents. Again, this is like how GPB represented that it was operated. And so these are some spreadsheets that became important as the defense tried to show. But look at the amount of data. That's why the case took so long. It was a very complex fraud. And oh, that's the ex parte document. So so anyway, that's it. Offense level 43, which can put you away for life. And if this were a Scientology universe, you could be put away for future lifetimes and past lifetimes in parallel universes, I guess. So 97, from what I'm looking at now, he's looking at offense level 43. I don't know what the sentencing will be. We'll find out March 13. And if there's victim impact statements, I don't know the exact court calendar. I may go to New York City to watch it, or I'm sorry, Brooklyn to watch it if I can free my schedule. I may be there to actually see the sentencing. I did watch Danny Masterson put in handcuffs and let await his sentencing. I'd like to do that with David Gentile just to cover it for you. But I don't know if my schedule, I don't know if I can free up my schedule. And then $97 million restitution. Now, this was a big case. Now, so when you asked me about Grant Cardone, I just given you a size of the scale and the scope of GPB Capital Holdings and how big it is. And even though it takes time, whether it's Cardone Capital, and I'm not saying he did anything wrong. Sources say that the FBI sent people in. Oh yes, Fat Grammy. March 13. What date is that? Do you know what date that is? Because my lovely wife Karen caught that earlier. What is March 13? Who can post it? It's a special date. It's a very special date. March 13. Jeopardy question for Scientology Money Watch, Scientology Money Project watchers. Well, I'll tell you what March 13 is. It's L. Ron Hubbard's birthday. L. Ron Hubbard's birthday. David Gentile is getting sentenced on L. Ron Hubbard's birthday. Yes. Isn't that special, Ron? Did I tell you I was a nuclear physicist? Yes, you did. By the way, I don't approve of any of this conduct. In my day, when I laundered money, I did it much more skillfully. Yeah, L. Ron Hubbard did it more skillfully. He did it in a pre-internet day. Yeah, so March 13. In fact, what do they have scheduled? Let's just look that up while I'm going to put L. Ron Hubbard birthday. They have a birthday party for LRH, and he wanted expansion for his birthday. That's how the birthday game came out. So David Gentile is getting sentenced. So that's just to bring you up to speed on how it's really bad. So I'm glad you put that in. Yeah, so I think, oh, look at this. Let's just go this since that Grammy started it. Mona put me on this. Thinking big. We'll end it on this. It's not going to be, we'll end it. Thinking big. Church of Scientology celebrates founder's birthday with exponential expansion. Wow, look at all that. Look at those graphics. This looks like a cupcake on LSD. Their graphics. All the people applauding for David Miscavige. Look at they're all applauding. It's so enormous. I think this is, where's this, the Ruth Eckerd Hall? They always use camera tricks, but they're applauding for David Miscavige. Boy, this looks like an implanting chamber on Mars. If I were going to say there was an implanting chamber, this looks like it. So now there's David Miscavige, all 5'1", being applauded by the masses. It always cracks me up that you have to have the mandatory pictures of him being applauded. And then I'll look at that. Ron's behind him. Dave's in the foreground. Ron's in the background. CSC wouldn't want to be a Ron or David Miscavige. Thinking big. So on the day that they're celebrating L. Ron Hubbard's birthday, Scientologist David Gentile will be in court being sentenced at offense level 43. I would say David Gentile drove into Fuckville and the judge is the mayor. That's what I'd say, to steal a joke from Dane Cook. Oh, look at that, Mona. It was the birthday party thousands have been waiting for. Oh, I'm so waiting for L. Ron Hubbard's birthday. In fact, more Scientologists than ever before filled Ruth Eckerd Hall for this annual celebration. More Scientologists than ever before. Never in the history of the 4 quadrillion years of the universe. We'll just go on this. It's kind of fun. Following an energy-driving 30-minute performance by a superlative band, joined by soloist dancers and even Grammy Award-winning bassist Stanley Clarke, fireworks, and the first of dozens of standing ovations greeted David Miscavige. It always cracks me up that they have to list, and this is so culty. Who lists how many standing ovations? Those are mandatory. Dozens of standing ovations greeted David Miscavige. You got to be this is just narcissistic ridiculousness. David Miscavige probably called Tom Cruise and said, I got dozens of standing ovations tonight, Tom. How many did you get? Oh, none. I guess Top Gun 2 sucks. But more Scientologists than ever before applauded me. This is interesting. Just one of the inspirational themes of the evening, thinking big, was demonstrated throughout the jubilant, full crowd celebration, which included a review of achievements of the past year, introduction of newly trained executives, blah, blah, blah. This is why I recommend, in addition to collecting everything on Grant Cardone and other people, collecting all data on Scientology, this is the kind of stuff you want to collect. Africa, where LRH threw off the chains of oppression. Oh man, if you go to Scientology Money Project and type in racism, you'll see all of L. Ron Hubbard's racist comments. You will see them. It's pretty shocking for the old Scientology Tree's website. So this is pretty much cookie cutter. But David Gentile won't be at the birthday party. He'll be trying to deal with the level 3. Oh, there's a website for David Miscavige, chairman of the board. Let's go over and see. There he is playing pocket pool. Big change for millions. Yes, only thousands, only thousands, only thousands. But it was more than ever before, but it was only thousands. It was not 12 million or 8 million. Yeah, Patrick, they used to say 8 to 12 million, 8 million, but now it's only thousands, only thousands. So there's David playing pocket pool, and come on, Davey, we know what you're doing. And he's there at Paflag in his suit. So the David Miscavige page, there he is getting the medal from General Mina Bravo, who was, I allege, and I found evidence, Scientology's mole into Interpol in Colombia. This picture was taken in Barbados, and Mina Bravo had retired and gave. Mina Bravo later was charged with a crime. So he's the disgraced Colombian police general. Miscavige loves to give this picture. He's got the Sea Organ back, and this thing was for rescuing humanity. And there's testimonials, of course, to. There's Emmett Osborne. I don't know. He's a vice president of energy company. Peter Hodgkins, solicitor. Kelly Yeagerman, Cannon Feshbach, Tom Cummins. Oh, he's over Energy Italia with Jim Bridgeforth. He's out in Italy. Apparently, his wife gets allergies from the mold in Clearwater, is what I've heard. Allison Osborne. So many people. But if David Miscavige ever went to prison, would they, I ask, write letters supporting him? So this is why it's fun to go through the websites. Let's just, while we're here, if you're going to hang around, I'm going to go to the bottom to see what links we have. We have Mexico City. Get Scientology news in your mailbox. And then if you go down, if you want to do digging like this is always fun to go through I want to go to their newsroom and get their press releases. Let's see if they've issued a story about David Gentile's upcoming sentence, where he's at level 43. Nope. It just shows that they are doing PR in the ashes of the Palisade Eaton fires. Something that someone pointed out is this is just rubble. And yet, look at how clean and white his pants are. This is a photo op. This is a photo op because you would not have clean white pants in this kind of destruction and rubble. One of my listeners pointed that out, and I appreciate it very much. Clean white pants in rubble, that's a photo op. And yeah, otherwise you'd be filthy with all that dust and dirt. And so this is them using, again, a disaster, which I deeply represent. Everybody does. You know, they're not going to donate any money. So they're hyping themselves. Help unites Los Angeles in the wake of the fires. So right now they're using tragedy to promote themselves. And right now it looks like LA fire victims is what they're highlighting. The truth about human trafficking. It's funny that a human trafficking cult that often human traffics children into its Sea Org that's one of their PR things, to oppose human trafficking. What else are they doing? Mexican Christmas traditions and spiritual values separated at the Church of Scientology, Los Angeles. Bold new campaign highlighting its global mission. Holiday cheer at L. Ron Hubbard's Wonderland. Celebrities perform stories to benefit. Oh, Danny Masterson used to do that. He's in prison, so of course for 30 for essay. Let's see who the celebrities are. Anyway, we're going to wind it up. I just wanted to show you end off. So we had this 2024, this past Christmas, we had Michelle Stafford, Marisol Nichols, Jenna Elfman, and Nancy Cartwright performed at the Celebrity Center's 31st annual Christmas Stories. So David Gentile won't be around for this because he's got a $97 million, order. He's going to have to pay back his investors. And he's not going to be going to any more Christmas parties for a long time. So anyway, that's why I always encourage you to go to Scientology websites. I call it dumpster diving. Here's questions, and this educates you. But it leads you to ask, the stark contrast is, if Scientology is so ethical, why do they have so many criminals? Why do they have so many people in prison? Why are there charges, lawsuits? I'm going to post a long litigation history. That's one of my next. What is the understanding of a supreme being and the spiritual aspects of life which transcend the temporal world? In Scientology is money. Money's, L. Ron Hubbard called money the ninth dynamic. It's above the eighth dynamic, which is God. And they don't have questions. Is Scientology open to anyone? Ooh, are they? Are you signed up for their free newsletter? Well, yes, I am. I'm just using a different name. I signed up using the name Cloud Barnett. No, not really. I am signed up for their free newsletter, and you should just create a what we used to call a catcher account in scam baiting. Can you talk about Errol Southers? I don't know the name, Mona. Errol Southers, I don't know. I don't know that name. I apologize. But I will ask you, is Scientology open to anyone? Scientology is open to anyone who seeks spiritual betterment. So, Mona, are you seeking spiritual betterment? If not, you're not open. No, they're not open to anyone, of course. We know they're not open. But these sites, is Scientology a secret society? Ooh, is it a secret society? Oh, President, LAPD Commissioner. Oh, thank you for that. I'm not familiar. There's been some changes, but I will certainly look at it. I have many aliases. It's good to have aliases. My leading alter ego, of course, is E. Stuart Mills. I wonder if Errol Southers, Mona, is signed up for their newsletter. It'd be interesting to see how many of their newsletters go to LAPD. Wow. Okay, is Scientology a secret society? Well, it's not at all. One may go into a Scientology church at any time. And Scientology books, recorded lectures, films, and other literature are readily available to anyone, except all of us listening. There is no demand for one to withdraw from society when he begins Scientology. Oh, bullshit. To withdraw from your family, all of society, everything. Look at this as an outright lie. You are expected to devote your life substantially to Scientology and to have nothing else in your life except L. Ron Hubbard and David Miscavige and the IAS, and keep that money coming in. That's what you're expected to do. So this is a statement you can use as a content creator. You could do a whole show on this. There is no demand for one to withdraw from society when he begins Scientology. No. When he begins, maybe day one, but day two, yeah. Who are you connected to that's suppressive, and is anyone bothering you about Scientology? On the contrary, Scientologists are widely known for becoming deeply involved in life around them, like David Gentile, Danny Masterson, Charles Manson, as they are eager to take responsibility for improving conditions, like stealing 1.8 billion. Anyway, I don't need to labor the point. So that's it. That's why the numbers 43 and 97 are scary to David Gentile, and they should be. And so we're waiting for that, but I just wanted to bring you up to date on the technical part. This is a big case. It didn't get a lot of press because it was very technical, but for me, like I said, I have a map of 48 Scientologists, and that map keeps expanding. So one of my meta projects I'll share is, and I'm still waiting for authority to release a story. I don't have authority yet or approval, but I've mapped 48 people in the GPB orbit, and there's I could probably push it to 72. And I've linked it to, of course, Michael Chernaya, who's the purported leader of the Ismailovskaya crime family out of Moscow. His two daughters funded it. So anyway, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the show. And I like the technical stuff, the true crime fighting stuff. We're really looking down in the documents. So again, if you are interested in Grant Cardone, save every document, especially any offering documents. If you want to investigate Grant Cardone, anyone can do this. Get all the offering documents you can from any Scientology company where they're asking for money. I was actually quite amazed at how the offering documents played a role. Oh, thank you for the, you're welcome. And Mona, Fat Grammy, she's an ace, really good at what she does. So anyway, hope you have a great weekend. I may do another live if I get clearance to do something. It's a blockbuster, but as always, it takes time. And what's that? Oh no. Did you see that go by? Shock. I can't believe it happened. That's, I think, what David Gentile did when he saw the 43 guideline. Oh, yeah. That's what I think he did. This is so funny. That's right, David, 43. And then, no, it can't be 43. There's David Gentile. It can't be 43. You must have it wrong. And the $97 million I have to pay. No, this can't be wrong. These old jiffies are fun. And so we'll crank up the music and get going. But I will be back this weekend if I get release authority from, I'll be back this weekend. So anyway, have a great weekend. Thank you for watching. And as usual, we'll go out with this